Welcome to a broadcast of the recent Lorain County Commissioners' General Meeting. Unless otherwise announced, meetings are held Wednesday morning at the Administration Building, 226 Middle Avenue, 4th floor, downtown Elyria. These are public meetings and you are invited to attend. Agendas are posted prior to the meeting at www.loraincounty.us. Click on Departments to see the Commissioners page, then click on View Agenda.
Can we all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the January 14th meeting of the Lorain County Board of Commissioners. What?
Nothing.
Oh,
You want me to start?
Madam Clerk?
Okay.
Yeah. We usually have a dog,
I know,
so we
that's
didn't
what I
know
was
where.
waiting for.
Yeah, we didn't know where to go after
Want to do an
that.
open dialogue or whatever? Under resolutions, number 1, elect the president of the board for the year 2013.
I will make a motion to make Mr. Kalo president of the board.
Second.
Discussion?
Yeah, I was the vice chair and always gone in a rotation. What's the reason for skipping me?
I think just the way things have transpired over the last 6 months or so. The fact that you said you don't trust anybody in county government. As president, I think we have to be working more as a team and trust each other and work together and not go out of our way to make this board as a whole look bad. And that seems to be, in my opinion, what you've done over the last 6 months.
Well, I think the issue is I haven't really received information.
That's not true.
Lori, you even stated that the reason you don't send or invite me to meetings is because you don't invite people who disagree with you.
I didn't say that. I said only about St. Joe's. You don't go to a presentation to try to get somebody's support on something when you have somebody that, you don't invite the person that's against it to that meeting to help sell something.
The issue was you go there to actually talk about different issues.
I was not there to talk about issues. I was there to support the city of Lorain to make it look like a unified front for the state of Ohio. I didn't even say a word in that meeting.
And with that, with St. Joe's, I was the one that also talked with the group to get that reduced from $1.35 million down to $850,000.
Right, we were on the same phone
Yeah,
call.
we're all
Yeah,
saying
I know.
about
But
You've tried to make it look like a divided board when really we haven't been divided, just like the sewer issue. The sewer issue, we were all working towards the same goal. You were doing it in a different way than I was or Ted was, but we were all trying to get those sewer rates reduced.
And we did.
But even to this day, if you look at a newspaper article, it looks like it was you were on one side of the aisle and we were on the other. We were all on the same side, trying to do the same thing, but in different ways.
so because the way the reporters report,
Because you always try to make it look like we're divided and we're against you when we're not. Since you've been a commissioner, I have not done that. I've not been against you. I've been an advocate of you.
and this vote shows your support.
This
Okay.
does not show my support, and I'm gonna tell you one of the reasons, and it's that interview that you did with that lady in Avon Lake, really nice woman. I can't remember her name, unfortunately, off the top of my head, but the issue that you brought up was the coffee and newspapers. And when you said that the reason why you brought that up is a test, that's why. Not because you wanted to make a cut, but it was a test. You were testing this board, and I'm not sure if I passed or failed that test, but, it's just like everything seems like a game. And we need leadership and people that are working together. And I hope that you will eventually get over whatever it is that you have, your issues with not trusting people, and eventually want to work with us, because we do good things up here.
Very well said, Commissioner.
You're doing a fine job to make me think that I can trust you more, so.
Well, I'm sorry.
I've actually done a lot. I have gone through, worked on this board to get things accomplished. I have worked with you on stuff. I have gone through and actually working on things to try to improve our community as well, and working with our local legislators down in Columbus to get things done. And you know what, I think everybody sees this for what it truly is, and I even had other local officials that had made the comments to me, so saying
Well,
it's political, it's not because...
It is political. Everything that
It's-
has been going on the last 6 months has been nothing but political.
Lori, I came out and I actually supported you in your
I know you
primary.
did.
So, yeah, that's a lot of, Republicans supporting a Democrat.
And this is not about
That's-
Republican or Democrat. This is about Tom Williams. This is, I have plenty of Republican and Democrat friends, and I considered you as somebody that I could work with. But when you came out and constantly wanting to battle and make this board look bad, even though you might think it's making you look good, as a board, we look bad. And you're not gonna be able to
I state
reverse
my
that.
opinion. I go through and I do. I fight for what I think is in the best
So do
interest
I.
of the county.
So do I.
And that. So we have disagreements.
Right. And we can agree to disagree.
Everybody has disagreements.
And
but-
we never can agree to disagree either, because if we make a vote and the vote goes not in your favor, you bring it up 6 more times. Because you can't agree to disagree. You want to keep berating the issue.
I think Tom Dad on there, it's a matter of working day to day with the staff here. Again, the comments you made about not trusting the staff. I mean, our clerk stood up and said something at the time during the meeting, and they don't ever do politics. They're here to do their job. And it's a matter of leading the board. You have to work with everybody. The committees you serve on as president of the board. Like I said, I skipped it. I missed it before too, so. When we let Betty Blair go 2 years in a row with her final year going out, so.
Well, that was your choice to do that.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
And the
So
board has
it-
decided, the
it-
board has decided, Commissioner Kokoski nominated me as president of the board. I agree with that nomination. I second it, and we call for the vote.
Yeah.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Nay. I just hope you guys who are watching this actually see what's going on in your county government. This is the worst of politics here.
No, the
Making,
worst of politics
it's
is
making,
asking for a public records request for emails from everybody to everybody for the last, I don't know how many months. If you have a question of something that we're not doing or providing you, why don't you just ask us instead of making us jump
Because I
through all
don't get
these
the
hoops?
answer. I do not get the answer.
You've never
And-
asked a question
Right.
and not got an answer
Wow, I never asked a question.
that you did not get the answer to. If you have, let me know.
I'm just going to take it that everyone who's watching this sees what's going on, so let's move on.
Okay.
Elect the Vice President of the Board of the Year 2013.
I nominate Commissioner Kokoski as vice president of the board for 2013.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Nay.
Adopt Robert Rules as parliamentary procedures to be followed at all board meetings during 2013.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Provide each Wednesday of each month at 9:30 as regular board meeting days for 2013.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Provide the first or third Tuesday of each month at 9:30 as a regular board meeting days for 2013 for public hearings.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Authorize the president, vice president, or member to execute all agreements, contracts, and documents on behalf of the county commissioners.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Appointed Commissioners 911 Review Board Chair for the year 2013 and various members.
I would like to continue.
I'll nominate Commissioner Kokoski to continue on 911 Review Board.
Thank you. Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Appoint the President to the Data Processing Board, Audit Review Board, Records Commission, Solid Waste Management Policy Committee, Board of Revisions or alternate, Lorain County Children and Families Council or designee, Safety Committee or designee.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Yeah, I will have, if anybody is looking on the board wants to be as my alternate to any of these, that's available also.
Okay.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Fourth Wednesday of each month at 6 p.m. is regular board meeting days for 2013.
So moved.
Second with comments. I don't know if we decided for sure that we were going to have every month have a meeting in the evening, did we?
I think
Okay.
you went,
This was
I think you
for
did it
discussion.
for 6 months.
Okay, because I think it would be more beneficial to everybody is if we have an issue that that we think a lot of people would want to talk about, like the sewer issue or any building department or something like that, that we know it's going to create a lot of interest, that we would have scheduled a evening meeting rather than every month, whether there's anything pressing or important that other people would want to attend.
Well, Commissioner, we do schedule as this, if we don't have anything coming up, we can always cancel it, correct, Teresa?
Correct.
So it's there available as a meeting.
Just
but
be
we-
available like our Tuesdays?
Correct.
Okay, we can do that.
We talked about this in October, and you guys agreed to it.
Yeah, it's there, Tom.
So are we going to actually have a meeting on it?
I think we should have it as necessary. If there's nothing, like a meeting like today, where there's not a lot going on.
But the
and-
problem that you have is if you don't get on a consistent basis where the public can plan on it, they're never going to come. That's the reason you don't have anyone turn out for special meetings, because the majority of the time, they don't know about it. So if you get it out there where you're on a consistent schedule, then you'll have them, it may take several months, but you'll start having people coming out. It's kind of like what city council and the trustees do. But
Like I said, I don't have a problem putting it on there, but if there's no pressing issue that has to be done, they have a meeting, just open it up.
just
Yeah,
have your
the board.
meeting.
Are we going to have, if we have an evening meeting, does that
Then you
mean we're
don't
not
have
going to
them-
have one during the day?
Right.
Okay.
I thought we did last one.
Yeah, the last one we did. We had it in the
daytime
morning
evening.
and in the
Well,
evening.
because we knew that we were going to have so many people coming in, but to me, it would
We
just be...
didn't know you knew. That's the truth. We didn't think we would have anybody here, and you
Yeah, the residents...
filled the house with people, so, from the sewer, and made it a sewer hearing, which was a good thing, because people needed to talk about that, but Ted and I didn't know anybody was even coming. Neither did the administrator. This is what I'm talking about, Tom. We need to
I
start working
believe I
together.
actually stated that before, that there were people going to be attending that meeting, but, look, you want to punish me for
Yep.
what the yeah, no, you know what,
Basically,
that's,
It
you
is
know what,
kind of like-
that's your first true statement since I've been here, thank you.
It's kind of like, you need to realize that what you've been doing is not beneficial to this board. It's making us look bad all the time.
I disagree with you on issues, and
No,
I'm
you
sorry if my
don't.
disagreement...
Not all issues.
Not on all issues, but the ones that you get upset with me on are the ones that you're saying that, I'm playing games with. I disagree with you. I disagreed with you on the casino route. I guess that was a political motivated
You
thing.
start-
You brought it up
I
first.
brought it up as far as looking at it, and then when you went through the numbers, you know what, you look at something, you have a project, you look at it, and you say,
We
you know what,
supported
based
you,
on
and
the
then you turned around and
numbers,
said you
don't
weren't in
do
favor of it.
I said it, you don't do it. Look at my vote. It was a no. When you implemented it, it went 2-1. I voted no because when you looked at the numbers, it didn't make sense. Now I think we're averaging 3.4 riders.
No, we're averaging 15 people per day, 30 trips, which probably is not enough, and maybe
It's
this is
not
something
enough.
that we're not going to be able to continue, because I did find out, because I did go to the casino finally in Cleveland for the first time, and they do have a route that goes from Crusher Stadium, and they pay $15, and they get $20 in money to spend, so, I mean, they're actually paying people $5 to go, instead of us charging people to go back and forth. But the people that are actually going are not riders to the casino, they're actually commuting to employment in Cleveland, they're not casino riders.
Those are the emails we've received.
So,
Madam Clerk?
I just want to clarify, so if we're going to have this, we're not going to have the day meeting?
correct.
Okay. Mr. Kalo?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Job and Family Services bills?
So moved.
Second?
Discussion. Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Investments?
So moved.
Second?
Discussion. Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Appropriations?
So moved.
Second?
Discussion. Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Transfers?
So moved.
Second?
Discussion. Ms. Kowski. Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Advances and repayments.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Requisitions.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Bills.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Authorize various personnel actions as indicated on the summary sheet for employees within jurisdiction of the County Commissioners.
Mr. Cordez?
Thank you, Commissioner Kalo. I do have a few personal actions, specifically at the collection center. And also, I want to brief you on ongoing labor negotiations, which we'll be talking a lot about through the years because we have a lot of contracts expiring this year. And also, potential new hire for one or two of the positions were vacant in the Commissioner's Department. So those topics are allowable under the Sunshine Law for executive session discussions. I'd ask at the conclusion of our regular board meeting today, we go into executive session and talk about those issues. Thank you.
Approve and waive the reading of the same in the County Commissioners meeting minutes of December 18th and 19th.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Approve payment from Victims of Domestic Violence Fund to Lorain County Safe Harbor, Inc., DBA Genesis House, for the amount of $31,634.13 as collected by Lorain County for the period July 1st, 2012 through December 31st, 2012. Collection and payment are pursuant to Ohio Revised Code Sections 2303.201 and 3113.34 through 39.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Establish compensation for law directors prosecuting violations of state law in municipal courts, Ohio Revised Code 1901.34C for the year 2013. Lorain, Elyria, and Oberlin, 7,500. North Ridgeville and Amherst, 5,625. Avon Lake, Avon, Sheffield Village, Sheffield Lake, 3,750. South Amherst and Wellington, 1,500. Kipton, Rochester, Grafton, Vermillion, LaGrange, $750.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Authorize salary adjustments for various personnel at municipal courts reflecting the county's 2/5 share. Lorain, presiding judge Mihawk, effective retroactive to January 1st, 2013, at a rate biweekly of $950. Administrative judge Thomas Elwell, effective retroactive January 1st, 2013, at biweekly rate of $973.07. And Elyria, bailiff Michael Gebhardt, effective retroactive June 17, 2012, at biweekly rate of $871.54.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Approve a housekeeping resolution relating to the wage increases for non-bargaining employees identical to wage increases in United Steelworkers Local 8845 agreement for employees to include E911, Job and Families, Dog Kennel, Bridge, Golden Acres, and other departments under jurisdiction of County Commissioners.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
This is because of a Me Too clause? Is that why?
Well, no, it's it's the housekeeping resolution. Everything was going so fast before the holidays. I forgot that some of the people that are not general fund, that are under the
Oh,
umbrella.
non-bargaining?
Right, well, yes, that have to be included in the resolution when we do that. Actually, maybe, it'll be funny, maybe not, we haven't done a pay raise in so many years that...
We forgot how to do it?
Kind of forgot how the resolution
That's
had to
sad.
read before the holidays. And also that we passed the contract on the very last board day after an executive session, so it wasn't comprehensive enough. This is just housekeeping for your
Okay.
decision.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Under Clerk Courts, authorize payment of $500,000 from certificate of title, other expenses to general fund in accordance with the Ohio Revised Code 325.33.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
And I believe that 500,000 went into last year's, right?
No,
At
we
the end
put
of
it in-
last year or the beginning of this year?
It'll go into this year.
This year?
This year's budget.
This year's budget.
But it was
okay.
in our revenue numbers.
Okay.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Under the engineer, this is going to read the county, various county roads rather than Carlisle. I don't know what I did, but we'll be doing Carlisle, I just haven't got theirs yet.
Okay.
Under the engineer, authorized 25% freeze-thaw load limit on various roads in the county. The thaw and moisture period in accordance with Ohio Revised Code 5577.07, effective February 1st to May 1st, 2013.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Approve and enter in a contract with K. McCartney and Associates, Inc., Mansfield, in the amount of $38,000 to provide surveying and base map services for for widening of State Route 301 from Forest Street to north limits of Village of LaGrange and will be paid from professional services account. Authorize the engineer to execute on behalf of the board with prosecutor's approval as to form.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Authorize the engineer to execute contract modification number 2 with R.E. Warner and Associates, Inc., Westlake, for construction management services on Island Road Project, Eaton Township. Completion date was extended due to the weather at a cost of $16,500 for a total contract amount of $235,386 and will be paid from the professional service account.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Request NOACA to place a bridge project on the transportation plan for federal funds. The Burzley Road Bridge has been approved for federal LBR funds through County Engineers Association funding 80% and local share being paid by MVGT or OPWC for a cost of $191,200. Authorize the engineer to execute on documents on behalf of the Board of Prosecutors for approval as to form.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Authorize emergency application to OPWC for North Ridge Road roadway relocation and slide repair. Preliminary engineer and right-of-way acquisitions for a total cost of $80,000. OPWC emergency funding $72,000 and local to be paid from the MVGT engineer project account. Authorize engineer to execute documents on behalf of the Board of Prosecutors approval as to form.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Approve the proposal amendment from DLZ Cleveland in the amount of $27,196 to perform the necessary plan revisions for Gerswald Road widening project to be paid from the engineer's projects account.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Under the sheriff, receive and file annual report in accordance with the Ohio Revised Code 325.31 on the fees due and unpaid for more than 1 year prior to January 1st, 2013, in the amount of $2,097,486.08.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
That amount kills me every
Mhm,
every
every
year
year.
that we have to just write that amount off, but there's not much we can do. We can't get blood out of a tournament.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Renew the dental service agreement with Dr. Tran effective January 1st, 2013 through December 31st, 2013, with renewal options at a rate of $100 per hour.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Approve the agreement with SunGuard for support services of OSI Police to citizens and OSI client-based records in the total amount of $28,101.02 to be paid from the jail fund contract services account and includes a 90-day ring cancellation clause.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Mr. Cortez, County Administrator.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Since this is our first board meeting this year, I'd like to wish everybody that does work with us and does concern themselves with county business a Happy New Year. Hope they have a prosperous year going forward. I'd also like to let the board know, if you don't know, that a member of our community that's been with us a long time, Shirley, passed. I believe it was on Friday. We had known that she had been ill and she wasn't doing well, but the prognosis was optimistic up until late last week, and she left us fairly suddenly after, and she entered hospice quickly and then left suddenly. So I always thought Shirley was quite a contribution to what we did here in the hearing room, and her wisdom and insight, while sometimes a bit difficult, always led to better workings here. So my condolences to her family moving forward through their difficult time. Other than that, I don't have anything else to report. Thank you.
Mr. Ennis, Assistant County Prosecutor.
I have no report this morning.
Commissioners report.
Yeah, Shirley would be missed, and I think she'll be happy now that she's up in heaven and she sees that our meetings are run the way they're supposed to run, and we don't have, problems with the sunshine law, because that was her main focus all the time, was to make sure that the open meetings law are followed. Another great person that died this recently was Leo Sveti from the engineer's office. He was a great guy, always had a smile and nice things to say. So just Happy New Year to everybody. And I know this board meeting has been kind of contentious, but hopefully we'll be able to work together throughout the rest of the year.
Yeah, also, I mean, Leo, Shirley Johnson, her and I sort of started out contentious at first, but ended up having great respect for each other. We're going to miss her. We hope Elizabeth can make it back here sometime. David, if you can bring her with you, that would be wonderful. We also lost another gentleman who served in the county. Sonny Miller passed away also.
Yes, he did.
Former bailiff for Judge Mark Batleski and for Judge Paul Timko. Also, we had our first NOACA meeting of the year last week. It went well. The Avon Lake, North Ridgeville issue was settled. They decided just to let us change the facility planning area. I was elected the second vice president. Valerie McCall from the city of Cleveland is the new president of the organization. And we tore our first house down in Elyria through the county land bank, which went real well, cleaning up that area. Actually stopped to have dinner last night at Smitty's and met the owner over there. So, but it looks nice with that house coming down. So, end of my report. Commissioner Williams?
Yeah. Again, condolences to Shirley, and I'll try to speak up because that's one thing she always yelled at me about when I was here in the meeting is make sure you speak up. And another passing with Pat Limbach, right before the Chronicle, the country wife, but also besides giving us stories for the farmers, she also raised two sons, one that passed, and then another one, Oren, who's a Brown Hill Township trustee. So condolences to the family there. It's been busy, actually, for my office, and with the holiday break, we had a issue with one of our employers downsizing, and I want to thank my assistant, Neil Lynch, for helping me reach out to our Congressman Gibbs and Jordan and Senator Portman in order to make connections, try to set up a meeting with the CEO over at that company. Good things there. Let's see, December. Besides that, working with Senator Gail Manning's office, I brought up before about the dog license, the Ohio Revised Code, how it currently states that you have to replace the dog license out every year. Created a problem. I remember you were going down, Ms. Kokoski, to actually fill out order forms and get them mailed out. Now, if it's done right, it's going to be an or agreement, so it's not, gives us the option as commissioners on which way we want to go. But we can do multi-year tags. We can use the same tag over, kind of like a car license plate. And if we decide, we could actually go to a lifetime tag for a dog. That way people don't have to remember how to go through and register their dog every year, which deadline is January 31st of this year before you have to pay the late fee. And hopefully that's going to go through. Got a lot of support from the Dog Wardens Association, the Auditors Association. Brought it up, spoke with our Commissioners Association. They seem to be favorable of it, considering it's a or approach. And the other option that we're looking at is putting a QR barcode on there, which if you have a smartphone, you can actually use your camera, scan it, and be able to get the dog owner's information. So it'll be up to the owner to decide how much information's on there. So it could just be the dog's name, description, and the owner's name and phone number, so you can reunite the dog quicker, so calls won't go there. By doing this, it's also going to save some time with the auditors as far as processing paperwork, making it easier to go on and do online forms. And actually, I worked well with our current auditor, Craig Snodgrass, and his staff, Jason, I'm sorry, I don't remember his last name, bringing up the details. So I do appreciate their time on this, and have a couple other issues that we're going to be going down to Columbus for to try to save the county money. So, and let's see, is there anything else? Nope, that's it. End of my report. I hope everyone had a good new year, and I'm looking forward to 2013.
Commissioners will meet on January 23rd at 9:30. Board correspondence?
Move the reading be waived.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Public comment?
Happy New Year, David.
Hi, David.
Happy New Year to all of you, Commissioners. I appreciate the words for Shirley Johnson's family. I signed in with my middle initial, which is R as well today. And only time I do that. She always insisted that we put it there, like there were lots of Shirley Johnsons around and we had to make sure we knew which one. But I appreciate the comments of both Mr. Innes and Mr. Cortez in the newspaper. I wish we'd had a more current photograph, since that was taken in the old hearing room with the camera right there and Shirley's sunglasses flipped up. But other than that, I thought it was a very good article in the Chronicle, and I appreciate that as well. I just want to ask one clarification. You just declared the fourth Wednesdays as 6 o'clock meetings instead of 9:30 meetings, and then you just declared January 23rd.
Well, because in the last meeting, David, we made February 6th an evening meeting to talk about the building department.
I see. So next month, the fourth Wednesday is going to be a 6 o'clock meeting and so in other words, we're making an exception to the rule.
Right, because we
For
moved it
this
from
first
the
meeting.
last Wednesday of this month to fit the building code.
I see.
Correct,
Okay.
Commissioner Williams? Because you said that was a better night, that February 6th for the night meeting?
No, that was needed for the trustees because they were going to actually do it on the 31st.
Right, to move things correct. But you
Because
said
they have
until
a-
February 6th.
Well, that's because the 31st are going to be out, but I would assume that we were going to still have it on the 23rd in the evening just to get on that consistent basis, but
I mean, we could if you want, but I've already got a public hearing scheduled that day for Straw Hag Ditch. So that's why I didn't schedule the nighttime that day, unless you want both. But January 23rd is our Straw Hag Ditch as well as yeah. So, it's up to the board.
Not particular.
Yeah, I think it's better to have only one that it is. So if it's not
Consistency.
happening this time
Right.
for those particular reasons, because there was already something scheduled, I think that's totally reasonable. But the 6th will be an evening meeting,
Correct.
and so will the 20.
Fourth, whatever that is, correct.
Okay, thank you. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Mr. Deuce, did you want to come up?
Can you state your name and your address or company's fine?
Hi, Thomas Deuce. I own Skysurance and Lorain County Aero Lease, which are both located out at Lorain County Airport. And I had some comments about some negotiations that I had with the county administrator, which I'm not sure that this is the best forum to bring them up in, but I guess I don't have too many options. Shortly after the election, I received a letter from the county administrator detailing the prohibition for me to have a sign without approval at the airport. That was dated November 13th. I, in fact, did have approval for that sign given to me by the previous airport authority, and I was authorized to have that sign there until the county or the airport authority put up a sign for the business park, the airport industrial park, for which they have a separate entrance. When I provided documentation to the administrator's office and the commissioners that was approved by minutes of the airport authority, then I received a letter back from him that says they are no longer in existence, and we now require a small monthly fee to enable your sign to remain on that property. It's really puzzled by that.
Well, we changed, when we took it over, there were certain things done where we put the main sign up at the main entrance, and there was a monthly fee that everybody paid to have their names on that sign, Mr. Deuce.
That's not accurate. Not everybody pays to have their name on that sign. first of all, I don't.
Well, you don't, well, that's one of the
And-
concerns. That's why we
and
end up with some litigation.
More than
on it.
half the entities at the airport don't. There is no requirement that anybody have their name on that sign. In fact,
But those
even
who-
some of the commissioners don't have their name on that sign.
Correct.
But that sign is almost a mile away from my building. And the only purpose that I can think of for anybody to raise this sign issue now is probably politics. I cannot imagine anyone else complaining about that sign being where it is at this juncture. But if,
Mr. Cordez?
Yeah, let me respond to that.
Yeah, please.
The sign issue came up, this is the second time you've tried to bring it into politics. You mentioned right after the elections. You continue to try to do that, and that's just false. You know and I know, we've been negotiating your lack of paying the fees at the airport for some time, and you have steadfastly refused to come into agreement with the requirements of the airport. As such, in October, going into November, we had multiple meetings with council where we're filing litigation against you. In that,
I
in those
welcome the litigation.
So
I
do we.
welcome
And
it.
in those discussions, I raised the issue of the sign, because you've enjoyed on government property a free sign, a free entrance to your business at the expense of the taxpayers of Lorain County. You refuse to support the issues that improve the airport. You refuse to support
That's
those things.
absolutely false, sir.
That's my
Absolutely
opinion.
false.
You
Well,
can
be
say
careful
false.
what you say.
I don't have to be
because
careful what I say, Mr.
I
Deuce,
don't
because
approve of people.
you have caused animosity out there because you don't want to pay fees, you stir up the tenants out there, and we ask for a small payment for the sign that's similar to the same thing we charge for the sign at the transportation center. And since it's a much larger sign than the one that's available on the front entrance, we ask that you pay that fee. We've offered you also multiple deals how to get us into alignment with that. You don't want to pay those things either. Okay, so there's no politics involved here.
What is the fee for the sign that the big blue, I call it the big?
$25 a month.
All right, and didn't you offer to pay the $25 a month?
I did offer to pay that. I received a letter back that said that wasn't enough.
Mr. Deuce offered to pay $25 for an independent sign that is about 5 or 6 times bigger than what's offered on the sign at the front entrance. So for clarification purposes,
Which
let's
I
let everybody-
paid for, sir. I
You paid for it
out of my
13 years
pocket.
ago, and you've been enjoying a free benefit at the expense of the taxpayers for all
You
those
can't
years.
see my building from the road when the corn is up 8 feet high.
Well,
No one
I
knows
thought-
where
hold
my
on,
office
Jim, I
is.
think that's a little unfair to say that he's been enjoying it, because the board, the airport board, which county commissioners at the time appointed to, approved that, isn't that
No.
correct?
They approved putting the building there, they wanted it there. They put infrastructure in of probably close to $1 million to have that industrial park there.
They didn't put $1 million in the industrial park. I was here when they did the industrial park. The only thing that happened on the industrial park was a gas line was put into the area, of course, of a grant from the state. In fact, it was the inability and the uncooperative nature of the last airport authority to have an industrial park out there that caused a lot of the rift between the board and the airport authority. I've been around a long time too, Mr. Deuce, so we're going to keep it on top of the table here. All right? The fact that you enjoy a separate entrance also at the airport is disturbing to me, because we should have one gateway to that airport, not a gateway that gives special privileges to somebody at the airport, especially one that doesn't want to support the fees
That-
there while we're trying to improve that place.
That was not my choice. I
No,
did
you had
not
nothing to
want
do
be
with that,
located-
correct?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Please review the minutes for the airport authority meetings. You'll find that they asked
So
me to
if we
locate.
close that gate now for various security reasons, you'll be okay with that?
The reason they put the fence across my property was because the airport industrial park was located by that driveway. I had no choice
Actually, is that your
or
property, or
option to
you're on
put
a
it
lease
there.
on that property?
I leased the ground. My ground lease has gone up almost 3 times what it started. When I signed my contract with the airport authority, they included a cost of living escalator. It's gone up every year since that lease was signed. Every year it goes up. Now, in addition to that, you as the sponsor of the airport said, we're going to charge you more than that, and we don't know how much it's going to be.
We didn't say
Those
that.
were your words exactly. You said, we may have to increase this rate next year. We don't know.
In order to make the airport sustainable, we've been increasing rates out there. The FAA advises of our rights with regards to the things we could do at the airport. You've challenged those things and have not paid those fees. Everybody else has.
I have not paid the fees because my counsel advised me they weren't due. And
Your counsel advised you, but we
said-
keep sending you the bill, so now we're going to go to court, we're going to litigate that.
I'm okay with that.
Hopefully
I'm
your
okay with
counsel
that.
gave you good advice.
I believe that they did. I also feel strongly that perhaps the county, when they find out that maybe this was an error, which I told them at the time, it might be an error, will get a written opinion from the FAA, not a verbal opinion from the FAA, that says you can take somebody's lease that was written up 10 years ago and change it at your whim.
Well, the leases
That's what-
weren't,
that's
the
what the-
leases weren't written 10 years ago. What happened out there is everybody wrote these leases for 50 years and 50-year renewables at terms and conditions that were suffered at the taxpayers to have to support that airport.
Sir, my lease goes up every year. How does the taxpayer suffer when my rate goes up every year as it has for the last?
Has that airport ever been self-sustaining?
Actually, they would be if they didn't have all the money thrown around.
They-
I believe they would be. They were.
It
They
never
were.
has been, ever, ever.
Yeah.
I'll open the books for that, ever.
I don't really want to get into a discussion of whether it's sustainable so much or not. I feel I could run it for nothing tomorrow, but that's a side
Yeah, well, the
issue,
lease
okay?
is a different thing. You're here to talk about the sign.
I have a lease that's separate from the sign
Right, I mean, that's
issue. The
going
sign
to
issue was,
litigation, so.
I was given approval to put up a sign and was told at the time by the airport authority, until we put a sign up at the end of that driveway, you can keep your sign there. I invested money in that sign. The sign is not neat, it's not unkempt, there's nothing wrong with it. And now, for reasons that I think are still political, I'm being told, you can't have your sign there. Oh, you have approval for the sign? Well, we decided we're not going to approve it anymore. And then after we decided we're not going to approve it anymore, I made an olive branch offer to pay $25 a month for the sign, which is what other people pay to have their name on the other sign, and now that's not enough. So
Well-
tell me when it's enough.
You and I spoke about this over the phone a couple
Right.
times, and I thought the resolution to the whole situation was, we were going to charge you $50 a month for your sign up until you caught up with what everybody else paid for their name on the sign, back how many, 3 years ago?
I never had a discussion to that matter. I don't know who that discussion was with, but it wasn't with me.
Because you told me it was your
My discussion with you
idea.
is tell Mr. Cortez I'll give him $25 a month, which is what everybody else pays, just for the privilege of me paying for my own sign to have it put up
But your
there.
sign's been there for 13 years without you paying anything. Let's not forget
How are
that.
people supposed to find my business, Jim?
They're supposed to
I
go
don't
to
know.
the front gate to the airport, okay, like everybody
That
else
was not
does.
my choosing. I mean, if
You-
you want to put up people in a business park and have people
You're not in the
locate a
business
business,
park.
I'd like to know where I am then. I'm at the airport.
But you're not in the business park. The business park is outside the fence. You're not in the business
My
park, and you
building
know
is on
that.
both sides of the fence.
Right.
Okay, you've never been to my building, I don't think.
I've
so
been
you-
there. I've been a lot around the airport,
I
more
don't
than you
think
know.
you've been to my building, but if you had, you'd know that the fence bisects my building.
It does.
Okay? And so I'm on both sides of it. The airport industrial park, where the gas line goes right by my place, I was told that's the industrial park. If it's not, if it's something different, I don't know. I was told the driveway was placed there, and the extension, the stub to the driveway, was placed there for additional development at the airport. The sewer line was put in for the development of the airport. The gas line, water line, the utility corridor was put in for development of the airport. If a business is going to locate there and find out they can't have a sign up, why would they want to locate there?
We only ask for a small fee for the sign, Mr. Deuce.
Would you be okay with going with the $25 a month? I mean, Laura, you brought that up before.
I said
And-
$25, well, everybody else has been
I was
paying-
willing to pay $25 a
Right.
month as an
Starting
olive
now, though,
branch.
but what about the arrearages from
I
everybody
don't
that's...
think I should have to pay it at all. I got
Didn't-
permission to put it up and I paid for it
When
myself.
you and I talked about this, you told me it was your idea to put that sign out front to raise revenue for the airport.
No,
That's
no,
what you
no,
told
no,
me.
no. I told you that I would be willing to pay $25.
But did you not tell me that that sign was your idea?
Which sign? The
The-
sign
the
that I
sign
have?
with everybody's name on it.
No, that was not my idea. That was never my idea.
Oh.
I don't know whose idea that was. That sign to me it's some kind of a monument. I mean, I go by it every night, the lights are on all night. It costs thousands of dollars per year to keep that sign lit up. I bet that sign with all the names on it costs $5,000 a year to keep. And you guys are giving me a rough time about $25 a month.
Well, it's.
It's not a rough time, Tom. What it is.
Absolutely, it's a rough
Everybody has
time.
been paying it.
Ted, I don't believe you. I don't believe what brought this up.
Everybody
I'm
was
telling
on
you,
that
that November
sign. He's been
13th,
paying
6
it.
days after the election, after I
This
support
has
one
been
of your
going on.
adversaries,
Jim talked
this has
about
nothing
this-
to do with him.
He talked about this months and months and
Okay.
months ago it was discussed.
Well, the timing of it on November 13th was a little
On the
suspicious to
sign?
me.
No, it wasn't.
On his sign?
Yeah.
Yeah, Jim brought it up.
No,
I
it
bet
was
you
last
over a year
month that he brought
ago.
it up on the sign.
I brought it up during the summer.
Okay, I knew it was last year sometime.
No one-
Yeah, I brought it up a
Been
couple
brought
ti-
up in December because, I mean,
Well, it could
it
have
was an
been-
executive session, and, I mean, I'll throw it out there because a little bit is some politics, because Ted, you even made the comment in the executive session, you didn't care what he had to pay because he wasn't a supporter of yours.
I didn't say that.
Yes,
Tom.
you did.
No, I didn't.
It had to be brought up before December, Commissioner, because I sent the letter in November, okay? And in order to send the letter in November, we were talking about this in October, we were talking about it in September because of pending potential litigation. And the reason it was
that's why we were
talked about in
talking in
executive session
executive
is because pending litigation, and I brought the issue of the sign up a few times because I was looking for additional ways to raise revenue at the
I
airport.
recall the lease being brought up on there, but not the sign.
I'm sorry you don't remember that, but that's the way it was.
You know,
So,
at this
Tom, it's
stage, I
about
mean, I'm
3
still
years.
willing to pay $25 a month, as Lori, when I talked to Lori, I conveyed that message. I says, tell them I'll pay $25 a month as an olive branch. And that's, to me, that's not a big deal. I don't mind it. But I'm trying to run a business here, and if people are going to be anti-business, then there's no point in somebody locating a business here. Why have it here? I can't run a business where people can't see my company from the road, and I gotta put up a sign myself, and then you tell me we don't want the sign there. After I get approval for the sign, you say, well, we're taking the approval away.
Do you
Tell
think
me
that-
that's not
Do you
politics.
think it's not politics? You think the approval is in perpetuity forever?
The
Is anything
approval-
forever in this life, Mr.
The approval
Dix?
was given until they put a sign up at the end of that road. They were trying to
You
get
say
federal
that, but
money.
it doesn't say that anywhere. You say that. There
The
is nothing that says that in any minutes or
Airport
anything.
Authority
The airport
said-
authority's been defunct since
Please
2000.
ask Carl Nielsen. He was there. I've already discussed it with him. He remembers the entire conversation.
Is there anything in writing that says, that you have, that says your sign is authorized until they put a sign up?
What's
at the
in
end of the-
writing is I'm authorized to put the sign there.
And you
Doesn't say
received in
how
writing
long.
that they wanted a fee for the sign. You seem to like some things and don't like other things. All right? I don't think it's too much to ask for $50 for the sign. It's a very low price. We charge more
It's
for a bus
twice what other
sign.
people at the airport pay.
Well, that's why I suggested $50 until such a time where you catch up from whatever, because you refused to
what?
put your name on the sign at the beginning when
To me,
everybody else
it's
did.
ridiculous that I have to pay for it at all. I'm offering to pay for it, not having to
We're
pay
trying
for
to
it.
make the
And
airport
I'm offering to
itself.
pay $25 per month, which is what everybody else at the airport pays, for their lit-up sign all night with your names on it. So you tell me what makes the most sense.
Oh, my name's not on that.
Well,
We
that's
know.
true.
We know.
You know, if you're trying to save money for the airport, make it self-sufficient, turn the 10 500-watt sodium bulbs off at night. Don't let them run all night. I mean,
Maybe
you know
we
how I
just-
find the airport when I come flying into that airport? The light on your sign is brighter than the lights on the runway. It's real easy to see. I can see it from 30 miles, 40 miles away.
I bet you they can see it from space.
Well, I wouldn't doubt that. But if you want to save money, get rid of half the light bulbs on the sign, you won't have a problem saving that $25 a month. Don't tell me that the $25 is what's going to help make it self-sufficient. I didn't want to bring this argument up. I'm sorry. I apologize for that. But, you know, I'm not going to sit here and get beat up without letting people know what I think.
I feel that it's been in there for 13 years. It's kind of grandfathered in. I think if we went through, have them pay the $25 a month, which is what the other people are paying.
What about the fact of the increase in rents that everybody else at the airport's paying and he's not?
That's a
It's kinda
separate
like the
issue.
same-
That's
All the
totally,
same.
It's just,
It's all bundled up in the same issue. That's what I'm saying. It has
I
to
mean,
be
we would never,
all-
they probably, nobody
My-
would ever even
my
thought of
attorney-
anything.
My attorney has responded to Mr. Ennis.
Mr. Ennis?
All I can tell you is that
Probably
he
can't even talk
advised
about
me, I don't owe the money. I've got a separate FAA attorney that advised me, I don't owe the money. And the only commentary I got from the attorneys on your side, one of which was the county prosecutor, the wording that they used in that letter was in Article 17 and 18 of the FAA rules are so complex, but we have no choice but to rely on a hearsay opinion from the FAA attorneys. FAA attorneys don't issue hearsay opinions. If you say we want to charge this fee, here's how we want to do it, they'll say, yes, you can do that, or no, you can't. They don't issue verbal opinions that you can run with that say you can raise anybody's lease rates anytime you want because you don't have money.
Jerry, do you want to respond at all or no?
Well, I'm not going to make any, Mr. Deuce is represented by counsel, so I'm not going to have any conversation.
Mr. Deuce,
I mean, that is a separate issue,
Yeah.
and if we're going to litigate it, honest to God, I welcome that.
okay,
I mean,
Mr.
I'm fine with that.
Maybe we can come up with a compromise here, if the board would agree. Charge the $25 for the monthly sign. If litigation goes in the county's favor, would you then agree to the $50 payment for the sign?
The litigation will be a separate issue.
Well,
but
I'm just saying it would be
fine.
$25.
I may not be here if the litigation goes in the county's favor. I may move my business elsewhere, who knows? I have no idea. You know, you don't understand that taking an FAA-approved county-written lease and saying it's no good anymore, that really bothers me, because
Right.
that's essentially what's being said.
Yeah.
But that's a separate issue, and I grant that that's a separate issue.
How long was your lease for?
It's 3 20-year terms, renewable, goes up every year with the cost of living, since its
You're in your
inception.
first 20 year?
I'm in my first 20 year.
And when does it expire?
I think it's 2016 or 15.
So,
And there's a 20-year option to renew and a 20-year option to renew after that.
both parties? See, I thought we didn't even go beyond 3 years for things.
Well, we
Why
can go
20
beyond 3 years. Airport leases fall under a different stipulation
that's
in the
right.
Ohio Revised Code. However, the Airport Authority had a propensity towards giving these leases with renewables that in essence gave perpetuity. The essence of these type of leases at airports, when they did them over the last several decades, was that you did a rather low-cost ground lease. Somebody built a hangar or something on that lease, and then at the term of the end of the lease, it was a synthetic lease. What was left on the land reverted to
the airport.
the airport. Now, what happened, somewhere these things got mutated where they were giving, and you have a 20 with 2 renewables, some have 50 with a renewable, all of these long-term leases, and whether those leases were even legal has been called into question too, but we haven't gone down that road. Council and I have talked about that many times over the last several years. But it was to give a resource in partnership to these airports so that they had facilities. So in essence, you would get a low-cost ground lease, you get access to the airport, access to the traffic, access to all the, the benefits of being at the airport, and at the end of 20 or 25 years, if you still wanted to be there, you actually lease back the facility and the land that you had
Because you give
put
up
up.
your infrastructure.
Well, because you had complete and unfettered access to all of those things at the airport that was subsidized by taxpayers or put in by FAA, which are still taxpayers' dollars. Those things didn't happen at our airport. And that's another reason, that's not the only reason, but it's one of the reasons why the airport has suffered and has not been able to reach any place close to a cost break-even perspective. Last year, it was about $800,000 at the airport to run the airport. That's because we brought in a lot of FAA money for a lot of work at the airport last year. This year it's going to be about $250,000 less. The most amount of money that's being made at the airport is growing corn. Growing corn everywhere, just to try to bring enough money in to keep the reliance upon local taxpayers down. And the board is still putting $50,000 a year into the airport. And there's a lot of reasons. They're not all caused by Mr. Deuce.
I'll give them the 50 grand if they let me run it. I'll make money on it. I guarantee you I'll make money on it. So, you know, we can go there if you want. I have no problem. The first thing I do is turn that sign off at night. You know, that's where it starts.
Well, the first thing I would do
There's a lot
is-
of ways to save money
First thing
at
I
the
would do is stop
airport.
plowing the snow up to a private business on the road there so that they can conduct their commerce at taxpayer's expense, Mr. Deuce. I would stop plowing that snow over there. That costs us
The
money.
private road is not mine, it's the county's.
I know, but you know what? We plow it, and there's no reason for us other to plow it except that you're at the end of it.
The commemorative Air Force is at the other end of it.
Now, they should be
also.
coming through the front gate, too.
The FAA requires that all businesses that are open to the public have an outside entrance.
I don't think that's accurate.
Actually, it is.
The FBO is open to, doesn't
And
have
they
an outside.
They have an outside entrance and a locked gate that isn't locked most of the time, but it's supposed to be locked.
The FBO in the center of the airport has they
A
have an
locked gate
outside.
outside that doesn't stay locked because it doesn't work.
I'm not talking about the maintenance facility, I'm talking about the FBO.
The FBO is inside the airport
Right.
fence behind a gate that's supposed to open and close and monitored. and
But the
it's
gate
not
could
being
open and close, the
monitored.
same gate that can open and close be monitored, you could drive through to get to your business.
I have absolutely no problem with that. The FAA at the time said they didn't want that.
You know, a lot of
I'm
things.
not arguing with you. That's an argument that you can have with somebody else. It's not my
Well,
doing.
it's not an
but-
argument. Generally, things that were done at the airport, everybody says, this one said this one said that person said that. You know, and this, as you suggested, from, about council letter, there's nothing in writing for any of those things. We're supposed to just take it at face value, that all things you guys tell us from the airport is the way it is.
Well, I've been there longer than anybody else, I think, right now.
True,
But-
and that's true.
At the time those leases were written, it's a 50-page lease, it was written by a key, I'm going to say Democratic law firm at the time. It was very, very contentious negotiations with Ray Muzilla, and he wrote the lease and dotted every I and crossed every T the way the FAA wanted it. The FAA approves of the way those leases are done. If they weren't done properly, they would be challenged by the FAA.
We've done them. We've got some new hangars out there. We've done them. But the length and the terms and conditions of the economics are not done by the FAA. They're done locally.
The terms and conditions were done locally. My rate has gone up every year with the cost of living. And that's different from anything else that the county's leasing out, to my knowledge. I don't know how many other entities you're leasing space to where the rate goes up every year. I'm
Again-
paying more than twice what I paid when I started.
Our bit of discontentment right now in our conversation is because you keep claiming it's politics. I know you brought in that they were a Democratic firm. I remember that firm. They also have Republicans working for it, too. I don't know why you keep insisting upon doing that, but
We've been
what you
working
do.
on this airport.
I'm
as
just
long
saying
as
that it
I've
wasn't
been
one of
here.
my guy didn't write the lease. Your guy or whoever is the government's guy wrote the lease. The job would be upon him, in my way of thinking, if the government's writing the lease for you to enter into, to do it properly. So I assume he did. So if you berate them for having written leases for that long of a term, that was the government's fault, not my fault. I didn't take advantage of anything other than what the terms that I was offered. And I signed the lease and committed to it for 60
Which
years.
is a private sector business guy, you're supposed to. But the airport has not done well over the years. That's how it ended up back in the commissioners, because it was getting so much money, Tom. You know that, 600,000, 800,000, million bucks a year.
I
Those
would
dollars aren't
I'd be
available,
more than
so
happy to
let me
discuss
finish.
that, but that's a side issue.
And we are trying to find more ways of bringing revenue into the airport to continue its operations. We tried to close it a couple years ago, and we weren't allowed to. Okay, so we're trying to
Well,
find.
this illustrates to me the lack of awareness of the grant assurances. The grant assurances, the FAA gives you 90 and 95%. You get 90% money, 5% from the state to fund that airport in terms of infrastructure.
Mhm.
And all this taxpayer money comes in, you have to abide by certain rules. One of the rules is you have to write a lease according to the way the FAA wants it, not the way you want it.
Tom, we were aware of all of those things. We went there. We knew we were going to lose okay, going there. We were trying to get more money out of the FAA and more support. It wasn't as if we went there and had no idea what we were doing. Okay, we wanted something from the FAA. We weren't successful, and they forced us into a position that we knew was untenable. All right, so we knew what we were doing. It's not a lack of awareness. We know about all those things. We know if you take FAA money, how long you got to go. Let me state this. The bulk of the FAA money that's out at that airport was not taken by this Board of Commissioners. It was taken by the Airport Authority. Now, has this board taken some since they've have taken over the airport? Yes, they have, for maintenance and things like that. But the bulk of it, the bulk of $12 million was taken by the Airport Authority and obligates this board. So, and it obligated them vis-a-vis the Airport Authority, because the Airport Authority was funded by this board to the tune of several hundreds of thousands of dollars every year.
And the city of Elyria.
Well, that goes
and the
way
city
back,
of
but they
Lorain.
pulled out a long time ago. But that goes way back, you're right. Back in the, I want to say, 80s, maybe even the 70s. So, once again, we're doing whatever we can to raise revenues out there. You know, we had the Monster Mother folks out there trying to use the property out there. We weren't successful at that. We did put up the sign to be able to sell some advertising on it. That we weren't successful at that. We're growing corn. The only thing we're good at is growing corn. We're not good at running an airport. We're good at growing corn. And
Jim, I'll be happy to run it tomorrow for you. I'll take
well, you know,
all
it's
the
under
burden.
private management. Now, all you got to do is put forth a proposal, and it'll be taken a look at.
Well-
Right? The company we got running it right now is a private management. The government isn't running that airport per se. We do all the heavy lifting on the grants and the work that's going on out there, and all the construction that's going on out there, and all working with the FAA. But the actual mowing of the grass and unlocking of the facility, it's all done by private contract. I would encourage you, in fact, I will look forward to greatly a contract and position from you to do it. I thought I heard you can do it for less than $50,000, so I'm excited about
You
that.
said for nothing, actually.
I'm very excited, Tom. You know, you and I debated a little bit, but we've known each
You give me
other
the
a long
revenue that's
time.
out there, I can run that thing for, I'm sure, it might be run a little bit differently, but I'm sure I can run it properly. But once again, side issue. I don't want to take up all of this meeting about this issue. If you want $25, I'm willing to do that. I don't think that's unreasonable or unfair. That was what I consider, and from my side, an olive branch at the time. It's not related to the other rent disagreement. And please be aware that not only have I been paying my rent, I've been paying the increases that are calculated on the CPI every year since this issue came up. So I'm still paying more money every year than I was before. I'm just not paying the increase that I don't feel is correct, and I voiced my opinion that it wasn't correct. Initially, when you first brought it up, I said, you're doing it wrong. Nobody listened. When you enacted it, I said, this is being done wrong. My friends that work at the FAA said it's not being done right. All we've got is a verbal opinion from the FAA that says you can raise rates on everybody. That's not the way the FAA operates. If this had been done where you got a written legal opinion, I'd say fine, I'd be okay with it. And I still think that that would be the best method to approach this, would be to get a written legal opinion that says you can do and modify leases that people have already signed. As soon as the FAA says that, I'm willing to pay. But I don't think you're going to get that from the FAA. Why would anybody want to locate at an airport, sign a lease, and then have you come back 2 years later and say, oh, the rate we're charging you is going to be this much this year because we need more money? No one's going to do that.
Well, everybody else at the airport did. So
Um,
when you say nobody's going to do that, they all did. You were the only one that didn't. And Mr. Williams
raise the
came up
rate-
with a,
Raise the rate again and see what they do. I
Well,
don't think it'll
we-
work. Because everybody does something, somebody else pays a higher
well,
rate.
you just said nobody would do that, but they
Well,
all did.
The only other entities there's Condominium Association, and there's the FBO that works for you. So it's not like it's a
Mr. Williams
big-
came up with a compromise, and you said, no, if
I don't know that I heard the
raise my
compromise
rates, I'm
clearly.
leaving, I'm taking my
Yeah,
ball and going home.
Let
I may
me
want to.
repeat
Go ahead.
it then. What I would be willing to do is just say, because I know the letter went down that the sign was going to come down, the county would take the sign down. I don't want to do that to your business owner out there. I would be willing to have you charged to $25 to support a month. And then if once this all goes through litigation, because I'm not an attorney, I'm not sure which way it's going to go. But I understand your viewpoint in that. And so if it goes out and basically we say the county wins, we'll go back and say, okay, you would have to pay $50 a month for that sign out there. And then if you win litigation, then we'll just say, okay, we'll keep it at the $25 a month.
I'm fine with that.
Is the board fine with that?
The
I
only thing
think
I'd
that's
ask
more than
is
reasonable.
if a modification is not that we win the litigation, that even if it's settled, okay, because I don't, sometimes litigation gets settled in a negotiation, and there is no clear
Okay.
winner.
What the winner would be that he has to pay
More money.
whatever the other people are paying. Is that
Right.
fair? That would be the definition of the win.
I don't mind keeping that door open. I have no problem with that. I would agree to, until the litigation is settled, I'm more than willing to pay $25 a month for the right for me to have the sign there until whatever litigation ends up happening is settled.
But that would,
I don't know about that till today. This is the first I've heard.
but if the
that it's
litigation,
pending,
if the litigation settles in 3 years, we go back 3 years on that $25.
We would go back to today's date, or the month of January.
There'd be arrears.
Arrears for starting now. Basically, what you're gambling on is you're deferring the $25.
The sign is a separate issue from the
I
rent
know,
issue.
I know that.
But I don't care.
I'm just trying to come up with a compromise, that way you get to
To me, the
keep your sign.
$25 a month is reasonable. It's what everybody else pays there.
Right.
Sounds
The only
But if you
difference
wanna
is,
be-
the only
If you want
difference
to be
is
reasonable
they,
and you want to do what everybody else is doing, they've been paying it for 3 years and you
I was
haven't.
given permission to put it up for nothing.
Yeah.
I paid for it. That's different from them. They didn't pay for putting it up.
That was under another authority, though, Tom. This goes back to
Well, tell the
05.
other authority that they did it wrong. Don't tell me I'm doing it wrong, or I'm
Mr.
having to
Deuce.
suffer because of them.
Mr., I think with this proposal, we're not saying that we would go back an additional 3 years. It's basically from this date until litigation.
From this date forward until litigation is settled, I don't mind paying $25 at a maximum of $50 if the litigation is settled unfavorably.
Right.
How's
And,
that?
and just to be clear, because we know that there's income, or you have it where it goes up every year because of the cost of living. That would not be considered the.
This is not a part of that. This is just a separate $25.
That's fair.
If I may, Commissioner, we can put together a document that says that for the time being, $25 a month will be acceptable to allow him to stay there, but that neither party waives any rights or challenge regarding the remaining $25.
That's fine.
Is that fine, Mr.
That's
Deuce?
fine. Yeah, he can send that to my attorney, Mr. Cook, if he wants.
Okay.
This isn't going to take long to complete, right? We're not going to be like talking about this 5 months from now, right?
No, we can make that retroactive first of the
Mr.
year if
Deuce,
you want.
you'll go back and start the payment. Say, I know the attorneys are busy, but if it would take 3 months, you would go back and pay.
Make it
them since
retroactive the
January.
first of the year. Is that
Okay,
fine?
very good.
Make it January 1, Tom. That'd be
Yeah.
fine. We'll work the rest out.
All right,
Thanks, Tom.
and appreciate it.
Anybody else wish to address the board? Motion going executive session is outlined by our county administrator.
Second.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
This has been a broadcast of the recent Lorain County Commissioners' General Meeting. Unless otherwise announced, meetings are held Wednesday morning at 9:30 at the Administration Building, 226 Middle Avenue, 4th floor, downtown Elyria. These are public meetings, and you are invited to attend. Agendas are posted prior to the meeting at www.loraincounty.us. Click on Departments to see the Commissioners page, then click on View Agenda for a printable copy of the agenda.